little bit. There was a big announcement and some news that I did not get to touch on when we were doing the video today. And we got a big video coming out at, again, 5:30. So make sure y'all are watching that, especially. If you're on, let me know if you can hear me. I'm trying to do a live a little bit different than typical. So let me know if you can hear me. And we're going to see if we can get a better clarity. Sometimes these lives are not really good quality. So I'm trying to make sure that I got good quality for sure. Here, let me see if I can turn. Does that work? Let's see. No, it doesn't. I was trying to turn it sideways. It did not work. So let's see if I can turn it. All right, I think I got it. Am I live? Oh, hey, great. We're back on. Perfect. All right, guys, we wanted to go live for a little bit. Let's see if I can set this camera up a little bit better. Can y'all see me good? Perfect, hear you. Perfect. We were trying to go live at one of my office extension, and I could not go live. My internet was not working, so I had to come back into our room where the internet service is to see if we could actually get connection. So it's working really good. So let's go to, let's see, the stories of the day. Can y'all still see me? I think it glitched for a second. Okay, there we go. All right, so let's go to the stories of the day. We have, let's see. Let's see if I can pull them up while we're talking here. Walmart had a huge announcement. Also, we have another announcement that's actually tied to Amazon. And I know y'all have heard some news about Amazon. It was kind of trending. But let's see if we can pull up the Walmart announcements back up that I had saved. They actually told, everybody's been coming out saying the tariffs were going to affect everyone. Going to affect Walmart, going to affect every situation. Well, Walmart, again, assured today that no, we are not going up. They said even though it's one of those cases where tariffs are affecting us, we're not going to cause problems for Americans. And I was going to try to pull up the exact statement, but I'll be honest with you, it's kind of hard to get it up on this little feed here. Let's see if we can pull it up right quick. And while I'm pulling this up, I want to tell you this too. They made a statement on Amazon. Amazon came out and said that they were going to start putting tariff announcements onto their product. Well, they got blowback. And just with Trump talking to Jeff Bezos, Bezos said, no, we were not ever going to do that. That was not what we talked about doing at all. And they kind of backed off that. And what they were saying was, you know, it's not, you know, they're multi-billion-dollar companies. They actually, these tariffs are not affecting these companies. They want to make it out like it is, but it's not affecting these companies. And so what they were saying was, if that was the case, if you were getting hurt, they were going to pass it on to the people of America. Well, Amazon came back and said, no, that's not true. We're not going to do that at all. And Walmart did. They came out and said basically the same thing. Let's see if I can pull it up. Yeah, I'm struggling pulling this up today. By the way, where are you actually coming from? Everybody send me where they're actually viewing from. Yeah, they are rich already, to be honest with you. Trump's got a big rally since it's the 100 days today. Let's see. I had this pulled up. I don't know what all of a sudden took place. Yeah, okay, so Walmart, the CEO actually came in and actually said that they were going to talk to Trump. The CEO came in, the CFO both met with Donald Trump, and Donald Trump said we've had an agreement that they were going to make sure that they were going to put a Made in America on their supplies again like they used to back in the years ago. They said we were not going to cause problems for Americans at the stores. And said all the stuff that you're hearing about the tariffs are not affecting us like everybody says they are because we had such a stock already placed in. And they were saying, okay, if we have to go up, it's only because there was no negotiations done. But to be honest with you, Howard Lutnick came out and said today that all these trade deals are pretty much done. They're just not going through yet because they're trying to pass their own parliaments and their own members of their houses and Congress and legislative branch and all that. Now, one other thing that came out in the news today was China. There was a report that said, and it said, bookmark this, China is in deep turmoil. And they said, usually what happens, Gordon Shane actually said this, if you want to go back and see what he said. He said, usually when we see this kind of panic in China, it's because there's a regime change. Now, does that mean a regime change is going to come? I don't know that. But what I do think is really a big deal is that as they're talking and as they're pushing so hard, that might be why this has become such a heated argument with China, is because they're actually kind of worried that something big may be happening and coming down to the line, and said, okay, well, what if all of a sudden, there's a regime change? All of a sudden, Trump's pressure is actually working on China. That's a pretty big deal. Also, there's a new report that shows inflation is not up. As everybody says it was, it is not up. It says that it has been cut and is drastically going down. Now, Jamie Dimon, some of the bigger banks were all stating that, look, we're going through recession. Well, the true numbers came out and said, look, inflation's not up. People have good sentiment about the president. Actually, Fox News tried to actually throw some shade, and MSNBC tried to throw some shade on Trump. And both the numbers came out, and they said, wait, the numbers don't even show what we're talking about. It shows that actually Trump is winning when it comes to Americans and their thought patterns on really what's going on. Now, there was one report, and I want to make sure that we pay attention to this. This is really the biggest one of the day, is there's a report that the supply chain crisis with farmers are complaining dramatically to Trump because no one's buying their soybeans and their animals from overseas. China quit buying. Now, I have a major problem with this because, to be honest with you, as someone who does raise his own food, who believes in farming, why are we so dependent on China buying our farmland and buying our farm and buying our goods, buying our soybeans and buying our hogs? Well, to be honest with you, soybeans and hogs, they are the biggest pork distributor in America. Also, remember, soybeans is one of the biggest feeders of livestock. So, in a way, even though this seems bad right now on farmers, to be honest with you, it actually might be the best situation, because what we need to figure out is quit selling GMO soybeans, for one thing. But secondly, if we could find local farms and farmers to sell to American people instead of going through China. So what we're doing is we're raising pork here, and instead of selling to people in America, we're selling to co-ops that are owned by China that's tied to Smithfield and all these others. So then what we're doing is we're selling it to them for them to turn around and sell back to Americans after they process. Also, the stuff that they're using in the feed is things that they don't even use in China's pork manufacturing in their own country. So I think this could be a hidden good thing. I mean, to be honest with you, I think it's crazy that we're even raising American pork, turn around selling it to Chinese co-ops, to then turn around and sell it back to us. It makes no sense. So farmers are up in arms about it, but to be honest with you, this could be a good thing. Personally, if we found out that most of our meat came from China and most of our meat came from overseas, I think we would have a better appreciation for actually getting things from America. And actually, if we would learn to buy and support Americans, I think this would all work itself out in the anyway. Another thing that we're going to be talking about in the video today is we're going to talk about the blackout. Pay attention to the blackout, the situation, because it's actually bigger than just Spain and Portugal. It affected a lot of Europe, and the things they didn't talk about is actually just a few days ago they praised renewable energy, and it actually failed them tremendously. So we're going to be talking about that too in the video coming up. Now, another big story that just came in. It said Trump orders strip funding for cities and states that are pushing for things against his administration. We bring up several Democratic governors and city mayors that are now starting to say we're going to help be a sanctuary city. We're also going to help these colleges with funding, since President Trump's cutting their funding. We're also going to help cities find places to put these people. Now, Chicago just came out and stated they need more money. So this is one of the cities that Trump is talking about. Chicago came out and said, look, we're going to defy President Trump. We're going to defy President Trump. He is wrong. We should not be doing this. I'm going to protect my people in Chicago. And then guess what? As he was saying that, guess what he did? He is literally begging Trump administration to give a loan of billions of dollars to help fund and cover the cost of the medical issues that they're having in Chicago. Isn't that funny? Gavin Newsom's doing the same thing. Gavin Newsom came out and said that he is implementing new coverage of medical for a lot of the people that's there illegally in California. At the same time, the next week, he actually sent a package, a care package, stating that he needed help from the Trump administration to help fund and feed and give medical attention to the people that are here illegally. So Trump came out and said, you know what, we're going to strip funding from these sanctuary cities and all these people who are pushing these things, because what they're doing is they're not telling you they're begging us for money. At the same time, they're trying to grovel and say that they have nothing to do with Trump and Trump's terrible. He said, actually, what they're doing is they're coming back and begging for money from me. It said, President Trump issues an executive order on Monday to enhance national security and enforce federal immigration and criminal laws. However, because sanctuary cities are needing our money to help take care of these people, they're still trying to obstruct the enforcement of our agents and of people that's trying to help move people out of this country that shouldn't be here. He said, so why is it fair for the taxpayers to have to fund these cities who are literally trying to stand against the administration? Another huge announcement that came out today was there's a group, a union, which I don't understand unions. I told you I think the unions could be very bad, especially for government workers. So there's a government union working group that has now hired attorneys. Now, listen to this. They have hired attorneys to sue President Trump. Now, why is that a big deal, Colby? Here's the big deal. This union, since they are now suing, these people are kind of picketing. They're not working as much. So you're paying them salaries for them not working. Also, you're paying them to sue the own administration that pays them. So our taxpayers are paying for them to work, and they're not working. Now they're suing for the jobs that they have. Now here's the kicker. Here's where you got to pay attention to. That union has a loophole they found that basically when they hire these attorneys to represent them to sue Trump and the United States, they can use taxpayer-funded money to hire the attorneys. So let's go back. You're paying them. They're not happy. They hire lawyers to sue the administration that is paying them every week to work, that they're not working. And now we, the taxpayers, are having to pay for the attorneys to turn around and sue the administration. So basically, your tax dollars are going in 2 or 3 different places to ultimately take advantage of you. Do you realize you're suing the Trump administration because of this union? This union is suing the Trump administration, and basically you're paying for it. That's unbelievable to me. Unbelievable. There was another report that said that the earnings of this quarter actually is better than what they thought, meaning people are having better jobs. People are coming out making more money. Also, people are going in less debt. Now, people still have piles of debt. They need to get out of debt. But they are going in less debt, which is a good thing. Now, here's how they spun that. Here's what some of the banks said that doesn't like Trump. They come out and say, well, to be honest with you, the reason they're not spending is because the economy is tanking. Well, to be honest with you, no matter what it is, if people are not spending a lot of the money that they don't have and not borrowing more money, it said for this month, April, people did not borrow as much money as they've been borrowing the months before. And it's went down, basically decreased every month since Trump's been president. So that's a pretty big deal. Now, here's where I want to pay attention to one more big story, and then we're going to take some answers and questions, or questions and answers, excuse me. We're going to talk a little bit about this in the video today, dealing with this blackout situation in Spain. But I want to really push home that we need to be sticking to cash on everything that we're doing and making sure that we're not seeing even Republicans push this move towards crypto or towards some kind of digitized currency. There's several states, including Arizona, came to pass doing Bitcoin reserves, moving closer to in handling crypto. MasterCard came out with it. Visa came out with it. Now you see ETFs embracing meme coins. Now, here's the problem with all this. The more we see states and nations, including Trump's administration, embrace this digitized forms of currency, the more that when we have things like this blackout that we saw in Spain and Portugal, we realize we don't have any money because we can't access the money without the grid. So the more that they're pushing for people to move towards these cryptos and towards a parallel quote-unquote society, and then all of a sudden these hedge funds and these big players in the stock market are investing into the cryptos, basically what we're doing is we're not building a parallel society. We're just getting taken in to the same style market, and allowing for everyone to know exactly how we're spending our money. So here's what I've kind of told my family, and I've told our businesses, and I've actually, me and Misty, every time we go somewhere now, we're using cash everywhere. What we've realized is there's cash discounts on every place because they don't have to charge you the 3 or 4% credit card fee. Also, if someone says they want to PayPal or Cash Out me and all that, we don't do all that. So what I've learned is if we turn around as Americans, especially as conservative Americans, to say, look, we want the freedoms, we're going to use cash. I believe that we can push back on some of this, because if we see, like the story yesterday I told you about the CNBC saying, if you want your finances to keep on going and you're wanting this new convenient way of paying, the only way to do that is chipped. Being chipped, learning that when we go from a credit card, which was crazy, to then we were going to cell phones that had apps on it that we thought was crazy. Now we're seeing that people are using their palms to purchase things in Whole Foods or in other stores. He said, we're going to get to the point where the only way you're going to be able to spend money is through digitized forms, not cash. He said, well, what that's going to do eventually is move strictly into the digital ID. What that's going to do is eventually move straight into identification, fingerprint identification, or chipped. Now think about that. That's a pretty big deal. So we need to pay attention to that story. Arizona came out with a big crypto push. This administration's backing it. You know, I like the crypto czar. I like David Sachs. I like what he's done with a lot of his tech stuff, but I'm fully against this on this push towards crypto. I think it's going to be a big deal. Now, two more little things I want to mention, and these are not because of Trump. This is not because of anything. This is because we've not taught our kids really what they should be learning in school. There's two new stories come out, and it says U.S. home ownership rate falls to the lowest level in 5 years. People can't afford homes, cannot afford mortgages. This was actually up in 2024, so this is not a Trump thing. This is not anything like that. This is just stating the obvious that people cannot afford to buy homes anymore. Another report that came out said that most kids now that are Gen Zers, Zoomers, and people coming out of high school, out of college, are not able to buy their food without going in debt, meaning they're using buy now, pay later apps. So they're having to finance their groceries, having to finance their food. I think two reasons. I think the main reason this is happening is, what is school actually teaching our children? Are they teaching them general math? I know we're good at teaching our kids Algebra 2. I think we're good at teaching our kids calculus, but when it comes down to it, are they teaching them real math, real budgeting, real home economics? Because I believe that's where we're failing our kids. So that's one thing that we've learned in homeschooling, is that we're going to teach our kids, you know, cursive writing, how to write. So we're journaling all summer because we believe that's important, because people have lost the touch of a pen, lost the touch of writing, because we've been so indoctrinated by using text or digital assets. But another thing we've taught our children is we've actually, when they get money and when they get paid, we're teaching them to give, to save, to spend. We're teaching them how to balance a checkbook. Who teaches their kids how to balance a checkbook anymore? But that's exactly what we're doing. And then we're also teaching them how to see their wants and then can't get it, see their needs and understand they have to save for it. And we're trying to teach them to not use debt to do that. Now, when you think about that, how many families are teaching that to their children? Well, they think the school system's teaching it. But what we saw with these two reports is people can't afford mortgages. And if they, I mean, of course they can't afford mortgages. They're literally borrowing money through the buy now, pay later apps, which is like Klarna and places like that. Do you realize that's like 20% interest? So you're buying these groceries that are already more expensive. You can't afford them, so you're doing a buy now, pay later. And then ultimately what you're having to do is finance your own groceries. So you're eating the groceries and you're still paying for them 6 months later. That's absolutely crazy. I think if we really wanted to get to it, we would just turn around and start literally teaching our children basic economics, basic math, and how to literally balance a checkbook and understand wants and needs and budgeting. That's one thing that we've lost. Even with congressmen, we've lost that especially. So let's get to some questions. I'm gonna see if I can pull up the bigger keypad to show you. I think the Walmart news is big because they said their goal is to help Americans. And if we get to, I'm sorry guys, you fell over. If we get to the point where we can help Americans, I think, even though I'm not the biggest Walmart supporter, please, I'm not. I know people think I am, but I'm really not. But when they come out and say, look, we don't want to put any more problems on Americans than they have to have, I think that's a good thing. I think that's a really good thing. And my hope is if we can see other other stores do the same thing. Costco came out with something today stating that they're going to try to keep their prices low. Home Depot came out and said they're going to keep their prices low. Now, here's the thing. Who didn't say that? Well, Amazon had to negotiate, so now they're coming back and saying they're not going to put any extra tariffs on anyone. But Adidas came out, Nike came out, and said they're going to put more charges on them. Some of these car makers said that they're going to have to charge more for their parts. So here's where I would say, let's be proactive and start looking for people who want to support Americans, but also who wants to literally not charge you more. Because remember, a lot of these companies are multi-billion-dollar companies. They don't need the money. Tariffs are not hurting them any. Most of the time, they're actually getting assumed before they even get to the port. The thing is this, though. If they're willing to work with Trump and see the fact that there is better days ahead of us, I actually think that's the businesses that Americans should support. All right, guys, let's jump into some questions. We're going to take about 3 or 4 minutes to answer some questions. I'm going to see if I can get them. Hey, let me know if, again, on the chat, I'm trying to go through the chat. It's kind of small on my screen. If you can capitalize your questions, that will help me tremendously. Someone said, yes, we need to get to the point where we sharpen our bartering skills. Absolutely. My kids, if you noticed in the last video on Life of Colby Mack, but also the Max Life, Misty's channel, you saw my girls. My girls are learning how to be better archers, and that's a skill that they'll always have. Aiden learned the same skills. He's a marksman when it comes to 2A rights. Also, my kids learn how to grow food. My kids actually don't like to farm too much. I mean, it's funny because we're farmers, but, they don't want to go outside at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning and do these things. They don't want to go out there and sweat and plant, but they can. They know how to. We make them be a part of that. So if we can do that, that's game. And we're teaching our children how to have skills. All right, so let's go through some questions. Let's see. Bud, you're too young to need caps locks. I understand, Trill. What I'm saying is all the questions that are coming over, I can't tell what's questions and what's people commenting. So if you can capitalize them for me, that way I can see them. If you live in a Democratic state, you need to move, Beth said. I agree. Some of the policies, we're going to talk about what the Chicago governor said in today's video. It is mind-blowing because if you heard this from a Republican governor, they would be ostracized and probably impeached. Let's see. Someone said, buy American, period. I agree. When you can, you need to, for sure, when it comes to, again, to food especially. I can't find your wife's channel. What's the name of it? The Max Life. So it's just adding L-I-F-E on the end of mine. So let's see. I live in a Democrat state too. I think you got to be careful because here's the thing. When you live in Democrat states, what I've noticed is they don't want Trump to actually get the victory on a lot of these things, even though they're asking for his help in a lot of these situations when it comes to the sanctuary cities. They have kept their gas prices a little higher, their eggs prices a little higher. They've not helped their people. They've really not. It's been unbelievable that people just say that's okay. Is there a car that is 100% made in the U.S.? I don't think so. Well, to be honest with you, no. Sadly, even though I don't want an electric car, I'm not going to buy an electric car. I like gas cars. I think Tesla is actually one of the only cars that's made more here. Now, remember, the rare earths are still from China, but the components and all are made here. A lot of cars are not completely made here because most of our parts come from China. That's one thing that we should fix. Even like the biggest car companies, like, the American-made Ford and Chrysler and GM, most of their parts still come from overseas, especially in Mexico. So I'm anxious to see that. Yes, Wolfie, that's actually what I'm talking about when Pritzker said it's time to protest in the streets. That's a big deal. And we're going to talk about today's video, so check that out because I'm going to give you my personal reaction on that. Besides doing a garden when starting a farm, what else would you do first, bees or chickens? I think they always say chickens are gateways. I think if you're doing a garden, you don't necessarily say you have to do one or the other, but there's a lot more infrastructure when it comes to how you're building your structure. So for instance, chickens. Chickens are easy. Chickens are cheap. You can buy chicks from Tractor Supply or from a co-op. They're usually selling there in the spring, dirt cheap. If you do that, just remember, you've got 12 months of them growing to have eggs, or at least 6 to 8 months. Let's say 6 to 8 months. But you have to have infrastructure, so make sure you're building some kind of structure. With bees, you're buying a nuke, which is a smaller box of bees. You need to buy one set of boxes. So you're comparable to a hen house to a bee, a beehive. A beehive is way cheaper, and you'll get money back on stuff pretty easily. Honey sells quicker than what eggs will, and for more money, and it's probably a little bit more valuable to most people. Sadly, it's going to do better. So I think chickens are great, but to be honest with you, if you're asking me the best money to be made on farm for a small farm and to be more sustainable, bees and rabbits would probably be even more than chickens, unless you're trying to grow more chickens. Hey, thank you for the thumbs up, by the way, all the people that's doing that. Let's see. There's another question I saw. How long have you been a self-sufficient prepper? I've been a prepper for. I mean, we've been a homesteading, self-sufficiency style living for about 12 years, 11, 12 years. We learn something each and every day. To be honest with you, and for 12 years, and every year we're adding something to. Like right now, we're doing the greenhouse build. We've had greenhouses, but we've never invested bigger money in greenhouses. So this year we're building a very big microclimate, building a hydroponic system in there, a full rainwater catchment, fully ran off grid. The point of that is so we are not worried about some of the things in our atmosphere, if you get what I'm saying. And to be honest with you, you need to watch my video on my vlog channel today, Life with Colby Mack. There's a monster situation that took place on my farm that could possibly be with what is coming from the sky. I don't know. We need to look into that kind of stuff. You need to watch today's video. It'll tell you all about it. Let's see. Yeah, coffee will go up right now. You got to remember coffee and vanilla. That was another big thing. Both of those things are not made here. So it's one of those things that, some of those things are going to cost you more. But if coffee is costing you more and gas is cheaper, I think your benefit is having gas cheaper than coffee being $3 more. So let's see. Can't imagine you get much meat from a rabbit. You're not getting much meat from a rabbit that's like a little bunny foo-foo running out in the forest. You get what I'm saying? I mean, that's a field rabbit. You're right. They're not real big. However, if you're raising things like what they call New Zealand's, or you're raising what they call mini Rex, some of those meat rabbits can be like 15 and 20 pounds. Most of them are 7 to 10 pounds, but some of them get really big. If you look at our vlog channel when we're building a rabbit coop, I got like 3 mamas that are monstrous. I mean, they are huge. And remember, you can sell the babies, you can keep the fertilizer to feed your gardens, but then also you can have the rabbit for meat too. So I can't wait either, Tina. I can't wait to show you the greenhouse. We've got a lot of things going on in it, and we've been really learning from this. And here's why we're learning and how we're learning. I built something I've not told y'all about, and we've kind of shown a little bit in the video, but I've built something that is completely, fully sustainable, and I cannot wait to show you. But it helped me learn all the mistakes, so then my greenhouse gets better. And we'll be showing you that on the blog channel very, very soon. Stuck in on vodka, vanilla beans, chocolate imported stuff. That's right. Remember, vodka is good for if you're building homemade tinctures, or if you're making your own vanilla, which we do. We buy Madagascar grade B vanilla beans, and then we make our own vanilla, and that's a game changer. It saves a ton of money, but also the quality is so much better. Tina, thank you so much for saying that you've learned so much from us. That means the world to us. What made you change to be a prepper? You know what made us change, Wayne, is that we realized how broken our food system was. That's just the honest truth. When we first started doing it, all we did was raise a few gardens, and we had like 6 chickens. This was, 13, 14 years ago now, but we started raising gardens to a point where we didn't even have, really, in all truthfulness, our first few gardens, it was like we didn't even have enough to really make a meal. But it was teaching us, and we were learning to be good stewards, and that made us say, you know what, we don't want a broken food system anymore, so we want to start fixing our food system. And it took us years to get to that point, to a point where now we're fully sustainable. If you see us in Walmart, or you see us in Costco, or you see us in Whole Foods, it's just because we're wanting to buy something for the kids, or for fun, or if we're making something that we can't, like I can't grow bananas. We're going to try in the greenhouse, but because we have bananas growing, but we never have been really good at growing bananas. We can't grow apples really well. So there's some things we just can't grow. So that's things, if we want something like that, we have to go and buy. But other than that, we don't have to, because we have tons of berries, tons of oranges, tons of lemons, all that kind of stuff growing. Rabbits are unclean. Here's the thing. When it comes to anybody that says that animals are unclean, we go back to scripture in the New Testament where it says, he told Peter, kill and eat, that nothing I make is unclean. So when we look in that in the context, we believe that God has blessed us with a lot of animals, and we're going to partake of those animals. So I know some people have some beliefs on that, but, it's just how we believe. Let's see. Yeah, a lot of people are complaining about Washington and Oregon. Both of those are almost going the way of California for sure. So, all right, any more questions? I've got about another minute on here. There's about 800 people on here, so thank y'all so very much. Give us a thumbs up if you can. Remember, we're doing a giveaway tomorrow, so we need everyone that's commenting and gives a thumbs up. They're entered into the giveaway. Question: when do you realize that you have acquired enough food and garden? You never acquire enough food and garden. That's the honest truth. So we have about 7 to 10 years worth of food put up per person with no problem. No problem. But we're still growing as many gardens and as many animals as possible because we believe not only is it barterable, not only could something happen to one of our stocks, we don't put all our food in one place, but we never have enough. And what I mean by that is I believe we can always utilize food and commodities that gives us a better value from here on out if we just grow more. Great question, by the way. What's so funny, I named this Walmart. We talked about Walmart for a second, but we're talking more about gardens, so I'm going to have to go back and retitle this video. All right, let's see. Good information. Thanks so much. And thank y'all again for coming on. Let's see. How do you protect your land from chemical drift? Please watch Life with Colby Mack's video today, my vlog channel. We talk about that because something happened, and you need to pay attention to it. Actually, it's to a point where we called the authorities. So please watch Life of Colby Mack and the Max Life. Both of us touch it today on those videos. You can grow bananas or any other fruit in your greenhouse. That's what we're going to try, Miss Nancy. We're going to try to grow as much as we can. We grow a lot, for sure. But we're going to try to grow more than just berries and more than just a few of the fruit that we are growing. What's the best 2A rights thing for beginners? A 9 or a simple hunting version of it. I think you need to go to a class. I think everybody should take some kind of class to carry. Not because they know everything. I think the more you know about it, the more you're comfortable with it, and the better you'll be with it. And again, it's like being good stewards. If we're good with it, and I carry every day, if I'm not, in the bed, I'm carrying just about every time someone sees me, is because I want to protect my family. So the more I can pay attention, the better. All right, guys, thank you so very much for jumping on this live. We had about 800 people that are on here, so it means the world to us that you've come. I'm sorry, this link, again, is one of those cases where it turned it this way instead of this way, so I know you're seeing a lot of black screens, so sorry about that. But thank you so very much for coming on. Remember to watch the videos today. Misty's just posted the Max Life. We talk about what's going on the farm, also some good and bad things that took place. We have 2 videos coming out. We have the Max, which is my main channel, 5:30 today on this channel. There's a great video coming out about the blackouts. We're going to talk about how you can prep for those and take care of your family. And then also Life of Colby Mack will drop that video this afternoon too. Do not miss it because it talks about what y'all just talked about. And we have tons of videos on growing. We have tons of videos on homesteading, tons of videos on growing vegetables indoors. So check those playlists out because the main thing we want you to get out of this channel is common sense approach to sustainable living. And that means prepping, that means growing, that means homesteading, and that means trying to do all you can to take care of your family. Guys, thank you so much for watching. God bless.